though it was raining, but we still shine. I'm Danielle Wiggins with the Go Morning team. We have with us Lindsey Buckingham, our starting lineup here, Mo Kyle, Dave Chudowski, and Holly Strano. This is the On the Go post show with your Go Morning team. And remember, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. So go ahead, let us know your name, where you're watching from. Actually, if you're joining us from out of town, please let us know too. And if you're here in Cleveland and you're an out of towner, maybe you're just here for the draft, let us know and how Cleveland is looking on the national spotlight. But yeah, Holly, what we were talking about all day yesterday is this rain, because we're like, people are going to be miserable in the rain. But even though it pretty much was a soaker yesterday, people still had a great time. They said it's like football.
It was so awesome to see that too, and we have been commenting on that. So good for everybody. But the beautiful thing is it won't be like that kind of rain today. We, if you're watching us right now, are seeing sunshine downtown, but we are going to get these lake enhanced showers that develop. So I don't want you to be caught off guard. The bigger, I think, theme for all of you that are headed down for the NFL draft today is the wind. So that's a component that we're already dealing with. Lindsey can attest. And
I was just going to raise my hand and confirm that wind, Holly.
We just verified and connected the dots, and then we will see even stronger winds as we get into the afternoon. So 20, 30 miles an hour. Today's highs will only be in the 50s, but tomorrow looks great. And by tonight, if you're heading down to the draft, it will be clear, believe it or not. So showers late morning into the afternoon, and it's hard to pinpoint where they're going to pop up because it's the lake enhanced kind of shower.
Okay. And then Holly, you said the weekend looking good.
Weekend looks great. Yeah. Okay. 60s tomorrow and 70s on Sunday. But
yet we have more rain next week. So people need to get out this weekend and enjoy.
We're focusing on the weekend.
Well, thank you, Holly. We appreciate that update. And don't forget that our executive producer of Digital, he has already posted the weather forecast in the comments section where you can check it out for Northeast Ohio. Holly's forecast there, right there for you. Now, we want to turn to Dave for a forecast because, you know, not the weather forecast, but pretty much the forecast on the drafts. The Browns draft pick at number 26, Greg Newsome II, taken by the Browns. So what are your thoughts? And let us know if you are joining as well. What are your thoughts on the draft pick? And I also want to know, how long did you stay up to watch the draft? Not you, Dave, but everybody else.
Well, no, I'll tell you. Well, first of all, forecast.
Hold on just a second. Hey, Jasmine, want to welcome her as she joins in.
DJ Jazz.
It's freezing out here.
Oh, so she's cold. She was at the draft experience this morning. If you didn't watch, go. But Jasmine, you're joining us in. We're talking about Dave's forecast on the Browns draft pick here.
Yeah, my forecast is don't go kick field goals today in this wind, as Holly said. But you asked about, I stayed up much later than I thought. I got to tell you, I really got into this draft. And I know as, you know, sports guy, obviously, but there was just something more about last night. I was watching it with my wife, and she even said, just seeing people again outside.
Yeah.
And there was the excitement of Cleveland, the excitement of life being back to looking normal for once. And just the excitement of the NFL draft. It was really cool to watch. I didn't get much sleep. I'm sure a lot of people didn't. I'll keep this short because I know there's a lot to get to, but basically they get Greg Newsome II out of Northwestern. He's a cornerback. I believe on these airwaves yesterday, we told you they'd go defense, and they did. I suspected it would be cornerback or defensive line. A lot of national people, as I said, thought linebacker, but that's just not where the Browns needed to go. They needed to help that defensive backfield. Think about this. Last year, they gave up 31 touchdown passes and the 11th most passing yards, and they were still 11-5. So they had to help out that weakness. They have a lot of injury problems there in the secondary. So they bring in a guy who's a 3-year starter, an All-American, seems to have a great attitude, and he has a chip on his shoulder. He's not the biggest guy in the world. And, you know, he's a guy that thought he should have been the first cornerback taken. Instead, he was the 4th. So you're getting a guy that's going to be hungry, a guy that's definitely going to come in here and do his best to help this Browns defensive backfield. So, again,
did you
Greg
see
Newsome
the call?
II. Did you see? It's a good one.
Did you see the phone call when he received the phone call, Dave? I don't know if you saw that video yet. Well, it was, I loved it. Like, I love that he hushed everyone around him, like, shh, keep it down, like, you know. And then he's like, Cleveland. I'm like, that needs to be a promo. Like,
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah. He was in Illinois.
That was amazing.
Well, Allison Moneymaker, welcome. I know you came on the go yesterday, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, I had it all flipped, but you are a civil war in your house because someone is a Browns fan and then someone else is a Steelers fan. I think I said your husband was a Steelers fan, but I believe he's the Browns fan and you're actually the Steelers fan, if I'm remembering correctly from yesterday. But Allison, she says it looked very well last night, talking about the draft. I still had a great time despite the rain. By 8 o'clock, there was no rain, and just seeing all of the color was amazing. So proud of my city. And Mo and Lindsay, you guys had a little chat too about, you know, what you were proud of from the draft last night.
Yeah. Lindsay, take away the highlights.
All right, I'm going to hit the highlights and then I can't wait to talk about what we were chatting about all morning. So in general, and I think we touched on it a little bit earlier, it was raining, but especially fans in Cleveland, they didn't care. Everyone was so excited that this was happening in our town. So they were there in their ponchos, and it was so fun to see kids and family members and people from out of town just showing up, thousands and thousands. So wind and rain, nobody cared. And I think that it'll be the same thing for today. Also, Najee Harris, that was a super cool moment. He was the 24th pick, picked up by the Pittsburgh Steelers, but hours before then, he visited the homeless shelter where he spent several years of his childhood with his siblings and parents. And he actually had like a draft party there, but he didn't just show up. He showed up with tons of food to feed the residents there. And I just thought that was such a surreal moment. And I heard it was very emotional too. And you can imagine why. And then he gets that call a couple hours later from the Steelers. So no matter what team you root for, such a very, very cool moment. And then also just, you know, businesses have been impacted by the pandemic. So it's been really cool to see the local vendors cater the draft. One of them is Kiedrowski's in Amherst today. They're delivering 340 snoogles. And I love that. They're feeding local celebrities and players. So everyone's going to know what Cleveland represents food-wise. And then last but not least, so.
Did you mute yourself, Lindsay?
Maybe it was last.
It was her last. Is she back?
No, she is frozen.
Did she totally freeze?
Yes, and she's going to hate the way she's frozen.
I don't agree.
She's back. She's back.
You're back? You said
you
started talking about
you said last but not least, and then you just froze.
Okay, so I woke up to Maureen's tweet about Bernie Kosar's moment when he kicked off the NFL draft with Joe Thomas and Jarvis Landry, and everyone went nuts. And so after I admit that I fell asleep a little bit earlier, so I was playing catch up at 2 a.m. this morning. That moment, Mo, and everyone, if you're from Cleveland, I was just so pumped.
Yeah. I was sitting there and watching it, and like we were watching because we wanted to see the picks, but then I was just so curious about the very beginning. Like I did not want to miss the very beginning when we get to see what it was like downtown Cleveland, how we were being portrayed, how it was, unfolding there live. And Jarvis Landry, Bernie Kosar, Joe Thomas, they take the stage with Roger Goodell. And Lindsay, I'm repeating you a little bit because you were cutting in and out, but what I loved was, Roger Goodell, who got
booed a lot.
He loves that.
He got booed. He got booed. But, you think about I just wonder, I was thinking about what is he thinking at this moment too, because he knows all of the major NFL stars. I mean, big names, he knows all of them. There he is on stage getting booed. I wasn't going to mention it, but all right, Danielle.
Well, I put it up. I brought it up.
And then, and he's like, I'm here with Jarvis Landry, Bernie Kosar, and Joe Thomas. And the whole crowd just Bernie. And he I'm so glad they just let it sit.
And the look on Bernie's face is just, you know, like he's loving it. And as a Clevelander, I mean, like Bernie Kosar, I mean, he's just, he's up there, he's tops. And just the fact that we still chant Bernie as Browns fans.
That, from the 80s, right?
Cares? Yeah, I mean, like that's our quarterback. That is our quarterback, is Bernie. I'm sorry, Baker. I'm sure he's not watching us right now, but like, I mean, that is, and he might get to that status one day. But like, Bernie is our guy, and it never dies. And
let me put it into perspective, Mo, just to back to what you're saying. Yeah. I would make the argument that Bernie's the most popular athlete in Cleveland history, and that's even over LeBron, Jim Brown, many others. I mean, that's how popular the guy is.
I couldn't tell if like that was the first athlete that I remember hearing about.
Me too.
And that was basically it. I wasn't watching Browns at that age, but I just remember hearing about him all the time, and just like he was a famous person along with some other, you know, like George Washington and Bernie Kosar. Like, you know, in my mind. But
would you go Magnificat?
Yeah, but I wasn't in high school.
She wasn't in Magnificat with Bernie.
No.
Yeah.
No. But anyway, so yeah, it was just fun to see that moment played out on the, you know, nationwide, if not worldwide stage for Bernie Kosar. It was just so cool. I was like, yes, okay, I can tune out. I've hit the moment, you know. Nothing was going to top that for me.
It says a lot about the fan base too, because Eric Metcalf, who, you know, was drafted in 1989, I believe, he, you know, is in town, and he tells his family all the time that, hey, you may not like me, but I can always go back to Cleveland. They love me, you know. So I just love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Half up the middle for those that know.
Well, let us know how you are responding to the draft and the national spotlight being on Cleveland. It is amazing when you turn on, you know, the national broadcast and to see our city just shining. It does kind of bring some tears to my eyes. So we love the land, and thank you all. And let us know if you're going to the draft anytime this weekend. If you're going Saturday, I'll be there, and I'll hope to say hello. Alrighty, well, have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy the nice weather that we should be experiencing. Remember, the forecast is on WKYC.com. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday morning on Go, starting at 4:30.
Bye, guys.